What's up, guys? I've been getting a lot of requests to revisit my top 5 $300 old flagships. So let's go ahead and get started. We do have some price updates because we're getting close to the middle of this year, so a lot of time has flown by. But let's go ahead and get started. My favorite phone in this $300 price bracket is easily the Galaxy S23 Plus. It's the phone that I would recommend to anybody. It checks a lot of boxes off, and the price has dropped. So this used to be a $400 phone, but you can find these for around $350 on Amazon, eBay, even cheaper. They even have them 338 for very good condition. If you want excellence, 350. So the reason why this phone is amazing is because it's extremely similar to the S25 Plus. If you guys checked out that comparison, the design on here looks exactly like an S25 Plus. It's glass back, aluminum frame. It's IP68 dust and water resistant. Very easy to hold. And the cool thing about this phone is that it's not like too big or too small. So for people who don't want something really big like the S25 series or just a big flagship, this is kind of in the middle. So, and it's also very comfortable. So it has a really nice display. It's a 6.6-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's 120 hertz HDR10 plus, 1750 nits peak brightness. It is a 1080p panel, 393 for the PPI. This one has the Gorilla Glass Victus 2, and the display is beautiful, completely flat display as well. Great colors on here as well. Samsung has been making some of the best displays for a long time, and I have zero issues with the panel on here. I think it's still bright enough for most people. It's not as bright as like the newer phones, but I think it still can get the job done in direct sunlight. Now, this phone just got the Android 15 or One UI 7 update, and it has been extremely smooth. So that is one thing about this phone, and I'm not sure if I covered it, but I do have it running on my S23 Plus, and I have zero issues with it. The redesign and everything with One UI 7 has been very pleasant on the S23 Plus. Now, we also have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 on here, 256 gigs of internal storage and 8 gigs of RAM. This is able also to run the Galaxy AI, which is really nice, and it's also able to game really well. So playing PUBG at 120 frames, this is why I recommend this phone, because the chip is so efficient, this 8 Gen 2, that it's not really taking a big hit to the battery life. No overheating problems for me. So you can game on here just fine, because if you went with the S22 Plus, you would be stuck at 90 frames, which again is not bad, but for all my competitive gamers, this is the phone you actually want to pick up. And just general performance, very speedy, very smooth phone. Plus, I think it's aging pretty well, honestly. If you look at the comparison with the S25 Plus, it does a really good job. It's a 15 megapixel standard, 10 megapixel telephoto, 3 times optical zoom, goes up to 30 times zoom, 12 megapixel ultra wide, shoots in 8K 24 and 30 with a 12 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. I really like the shots. I think my only complaint with this phone's cameras is that the colors can be way too, I would say, too vivid. It can definitely give you kind of like an unrealistic view on like what the actual colors are. This can be tweaked with some editing and stuff like that, but I think that's like my only thing I noticed with this phone is just really just over exaggerated colors. But everything else is fine. Dynamic range, telephoto great, ultra wide great, the video solid. The selfie camera is good. I have zero complaints with the actual image quality itself, and yeah, for this price, it's great. Now, the stereo speakers on here are really good. The fingerprint scanner is the ultrasonic. That's really good. Like I said, you get all the bells and whistles like desktop support. Galaxy AI is here. And the battery life is also very good on here. It's a 4700 milliamp hour battery with 45-watt charging, wireless and reverse wireless charging. I don't have any battery issues on this phone, so you can easily get through the day with it. And yeah, this is one of my favorite picks for the $300 price point. This is the Galaxy S22 Ultra. This phone was easily around $400. You can find it in very good condition for $350 and even cheaper. So if you just got a good condition or a fair condition, we're talking about $300 even, and a little bit cheaper. I'm seeing them on Amazon and eBay. So this is an awesome device. But it's got some of its drawbacks and some of its bonuses here. But I would say this is a good option for anybody upgrading from like a Note 10 Plus, Note 20 Ultra, and you want to try the One UI 7 update and stuff like that. You want to give up the SD card, and this is a solid option because now that it's come down in price, you can go from that 128 to that 256, or even that 512 if you want to pay that 400. So that's the good thing about the price coming down on this one. And the design on here, it's a nice looking phone for sure. I think my only issue is that it is a little bit sharp on the edges, so it's not as comfortable for me personally. It's a big phone, so when it's a big, in a wider phone, it's just not as comfortable. This does have the built-in S Pen. It does have Bluetooth, unlike the S25 Ultra. And yeah, it's an awesome device when it comes to the hardware and how it looks. The display on here is still pretty nice. It's a big 6.8-inch display. It's dynamic AMOLED, 120 Hz, HDR10 Plus. It's 1750 nits peak brightness, and it's a full 1440p display at 540 ppi with Gorilla Glass Victus Plus. Now, the thing about this display that I like is that these older panels have that really nice, vivid, vibrant color to it. Now, I think the drawback for a lot of people is it is a curved display. It's a kind of more dramatic curved display. And you may or may not like that, it just depends, but it is there, so do take note of that. But the display overall is really nice to look at. It's a beautiful panel. Now, this phone just got the One UI 7 update as well, and I have no complaints. I think the phone is running even smoother than it was when it was on 6.1, so that's really nice. This phone also got a few of the AI or Galaxy AI features. Now, the one kind of drawback is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 is not my favorite chipset. So I think it's fine if you're a casual user. If you're more into gaming, you're probably going to want to invest in an S23 Plus or Ultra, save up a little bit more money. But it's fine for casual use. You can play a few matches of PUBG at 90 frames. It's just this phone will get a little bit hot. So that's the one thing that I don't like about this phone. If you're like really like pushing it, it can get a little bit warm. But for me, like casual users, I did a whole trip to Vegas with this phone. It did perfectly fine. I never have an issue with this phone. But you guys using GPS, stuff like that, do know that this phone, it can get a little bit warm. Now, the base is 128 gigs, 8 gigs of RAM. Like I said, you could spend the extra money, get the 256, 12 gigs of RAM. It'll run even better. And yeah, I have no issues. The cameras on here are very good. It's 108 megapixel standard, 10 megapixel telephoto, 3 times optical, 10 megapixel periscope telephoto, 10 times optical, goes up to 100 times. And then you have a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It can shoot in 8K 24. You also have a 40 megapixel selfie that can shoot in 4K 60. As you guys can see, the shots looked awesome, guys. When I took this phone to Vegas to the CES thing, it looked great. Great dynamic range, great detail, great zoom at 10 times, 30 times. The ultra wide, really nice. The video, still pretty solid. Like any older flagship, it'll kind of show its age when it comes to low light photography. It's not as good, but I think this is overall very solid. I think the pictures, speak for themselves pretty much. Now, of course, like I said, the bells and whistles are here. That you got the pen, desktop support, ultra wide or ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. So you have all the bells and whistles here still. Now the battery life is really, it's okay. So here's the thing, I could get through the day with this phone, easily as a lighter user, just watching videos, your social media apps, stuff like that. But if you're somebody, again, doing a lot of gaming, it'll definitely take a hit to the battery life. It's got a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, 45 watt charging, wireless and reverse wireless charging. Overall, this is a very solid phone, and yeah, I think the price is fantastic. All right, so next is the Pixel 8 Pro. So these are going also online, Amazon and eBay, for around $339, but it is for a locked version only. So you'll see like Verizon, T-Mobile for these locked versions. So I think if you get it unlocked, I typically see it trending for around $370, so a little bit more expensive. But these are slowly coming down in price, which is really nice. So this phone is awesome. I would say if you're very camera focused, I would pick this phone up out of the rest of the phones. I think this phone is going to easily take the best photos. And there's a lot to like about the Pixel 8 Pro. I think the design still looks great, very comfortable to hold as well too. It's IP68 dust and water resistant. I love the camera design on the back, and it's got a soft touch material. And yeah, overall the hardware is beautiful. IP68 dust and water resistant. You also have a LTPO 6.7-inch OLED display. It is 120 Hz HDR10 Plus. This one gets up to 2400 nits peak brightness, so it's pretty bright. and it's also a 1344 by 2992 resolution, so it's a very sharp, very nice looking display. 489 for the PPI. This also has Victus 2 display. Now, this phone gets 7 years of major OS updates, so this phone will get updates for a long time. So if you are somebody who is really conscious about that, yeah, this phone will get updates, for a really long time, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, this phone has the Tensor G3 processor, which really isn't all that bad. I would just say, it's a little underpowered compared to, other older flagships. But if you're just a casual user, just doing simple stuff on your phone, I wouldn't really worry about it at all. And you can obviously game on here a little bit, but it's gonna be like PUBG 60 frames, stuff like that, Call of Duty. This chip is not very well optimized. It's the same thing on the Pixel 9. They just don't optimize these phones for gaming. But performance-wise, no overheating problems. You won't run into those kind of issues with this G3 chip. And it's also 128 gigs and 12 gigs of RAM for the base model. You have all of your, Google AI stuff on here as well too. So overall, if you're looking for the stock Android experience and you like the 7-year update pledge, definitely check this one out. But like I said, the selling point with this phone is going to be these cameras. It's a 50 megapixel standard and a 48 megapixel periscope telephoto, has 5 times optical zoom and a 48 megapixel ultra wide. You also have 4K 60 video and 10.5 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. My favorite thing about the Pixels is not just the cameras, but also the video too. Like, I say this all the time, but I do use Pixels to film all of my YouTube shorts and stuff like that. Absolutely love it. I've been using all the Pixels for years for that. But as you guys can see, the cameras look great dynamic range. It does a great job in low light as well too. The periscope lens is pretty good. And I have zero issues with the camera on here. I think the colors look also very natural. I like the skin tones as well. So I'm a big fan of the Pixel cameras in general. So I would say buy this if you really like, taking photos. Now, this phone has a under the display fingerprint sensor. It's an optical one, and it works fine. It's, I don't really have any issues with it. But I think another, thing about the Pixel 8 Pro is the battery life is pretty decent. It's a 5050 milliamp hour battery. It has 30 watt charging. You have 23 watt wireless and reverse wireless charging. And I get, pretty good battery life on the 8 Pro. I don't really have an issue with it. So yeah, I think overall, buy this phone if you're into cameras. And I think the weak spot is its gaming performance is not that great, but everything else is pretty solid. Guys, next is the iPhone 14, and this is a fantastic phone for this price point. This has now come down to like $324, $350. It's a very good deal. And I do like the hardware. It's a smaller phone, so it's very easy to one hand this phone. It's IP68 dust and water resistant. Has a really nice design. I don't think it looks old from the back at all. So this phone does have a 6.1 inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. It is HDR10, 1200 nits peak brightness. So it's not the brightest display outdoors in direct sunlight. It does an okay job, but really not that bright. It's 1170 by 2532 and it's 460 for the PPI. The display looks beautiful. The colors look great. Completely flat display. The only thing with the 14's display is that it does have this notch up top, which if you are accustomed to iPhones, then it's pretty normal at this point. But yeah, I think the display actually just itself looks great. Now it is a 60 hertz display, but again, if you're accustomed to iPhones, you probably are used to dealing with 60 hertz display. iPhone 16 still has a 60 hertz display. But yeah, this phone launched with not Android, but iOS 16. And it's currently on iOS 18. It'll get updates. I believe Apple has like a 6-year pledge. And this phone's really fast. It has the Apple A15 chip, 128 gigs of internal storage, and 6 gigs of RAM on the base model. The unfortunate thing about these base model iPhones, you don't get any of the Apple Intelligence features, unfortunately. But besides that, I mean, this is a very fast phone just doing day-to-day tasks, and also gaming performance is pretty solid on here. Only thing is you're going to be capped again at 60 frames. I would say, you could try going for a 13 Pro Max, but that's going to be significantly more money. Well, not significantly, it's probably around like $428, something like that. But yeah, overall, the performance of the 14, it's a very fast, very smooth phone for the most part. Now, this phone has very good cameras on here. It's a 12 megapixel standard and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It also has 4K 60 video with a 12 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60 as well. The photos look great on the 14. I think low light even still looks pretty good on here. And the ultra wide is very consistent with the main lens. You also have very good colors on here. And as always, the iPhones work really well with a lot of social media apps. So if you're trying to do content creation like TikTok and stuff like that. Now the 14 also has very good speakers. So that is something that I really like. There's a good amount of bass here. Overall, really nice balanced sound. And then also we do have on here Face ID. So that works really well. And battery life is actually pretty good, even though this is a smaller phone. So it has a pretty much a 3200 milliamp hour battery. It's got MagSafe as well as your standard wireless charging, and you can definitely get a full day's battery life out of this phone for, you know, a medium to lighter user. Mine still has like 100% battery health. Actually, I think the person I bought it from had replaced the battery, so it does a fantastic job. And overall, I have no complaints with this phone. I think this is a really good option for the price it's at now. Next on the list is the Galaxy S24 FE. You'd be surprised, this phone has come down in price a lot, guys. You can find this phone for like $350, even cheaper as well. I see them online for like $334. And yeah, it's a very, you know, cheap phone. The price came down kind of crazy on this one. But this phone, it has very good hardware. It's an aluminum frame. It's IP68, dust and water resistant. Overall, very nice looking hardware here. And the front of the phone. So the front of the phone, it still looks pretty decent, even though it has these kind of like chunkier bezels. But overall, the display is still really nice. It's a dynamic AMOLED display, 120 Hz HDR10 plus, 1900 nits peak brightness at 6.7 inches. It's 1080p 385 for the PPI, and yeah, it's a very nice display. Besides, you know, it's not as aesthetically pleasing as like a S23 Plus, but I think it still looks great, and the max brightness is actually a little bit higher. The unique thing about the S24 FE on this list is that this also gets the 7-year pledge as well. And it launched with Android 14, so you'll get plenty of updates. We just did the Android or One UI 7 update, and it has this Exynos 2400E processor, which I rarely get to use Exynos processors, and this one is actually pretty good. Benchmark wise, it scored really well. It's 128 gigs of internal storage, 8 gigs of RAM. I would still say if you're a gamer, you're still going to go with the S23 Plus. This is not as well optimized, so PUBG won't run at 120. It'll run at like 90 frames. But overall, the processor is fine. There's no major overheating problems. It's very smooth in just normal general performance. So that is something that I really liked about this phone. Cameras are pretty good on the S24 FE. It's 15 megapixel standard, 8 megapixel telephoto, 3x optical, 12 megapixel ultra wide. You can shoot in 8K 30, and then you have a 10 megapixel selfie that can shoot in 4K 60. And overall, the shots look really, you know, good for the most part. And you get good detail, you know, really good colors on here. Telephoto lens is decent. So overall, I don't think the photos look bad at all on the S24 FE. The stereo speakers are decent. They're okay. They're not anything too crazy. You do have an optical fingerprint sensor, so it's not as fast as, of course, an ultrasonic. But you do have your Galaxy AI stuff is on here. Samsung desktop support is on here, so that's really good. So you get the full, you know, experience for the most part if you're into the AI stuff. Now, this phone's battery life is also very solid. It's a 4700 milliamp hour battery, 25 watt charging, wireless and reverse wireless charging. So the pros with the S24 FE is the 7-year pledge, and then also, you know, it does a decent job in battery life and just everything else. But I think the main pro is the 7-year pledge. So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know what you guys are thinking about buying at this $300 price point, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.